We're doing experiment number 45, baby bean, appropriate name for what we got going on today. What is the purpose of this experiment? To dissect a bean, identify the parts, and learn the function of each part. Now I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. I did look up all of these wonderful scientific words, and hopefully they will be pronounced correctly. We'll see. Okay, what are you going to need? I have a whole bag of pinto beans. You need 10 or 12. This is what they look like. Look how hard they are. And they have little spots on them. They're fun. Oh, I lost one. That's okay. It says you need baby jars. I use just a small coffee cup. And then I put some tap water in it. You stick the 10 to 12 beans in the water. Let them soak overnight. That's how we're going to do this experiment. Now, you can see them in the water. I pulled it out the next day. And now we're gonna take these beans out. And show you what we're going to do. Okay, pan down for me. We're going to show this. I've already got some on here so you can see. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to look at that nice, what was once a really hard exterior shell, and now we're looking at that exo shell, and some of these are going to even be more wrinkly than this. It's really wrinkly, and now that outer shell can actually be peeled off. See that, how it's peeling off? And some of these peel off real easy. Most of them peel off really easy after the water has soaked. I've already got one that's been peeled off. Look at that outer shell. It's interesting with seeds. In order for a seed to grow, like if you were to take the plant of an okra plant, for example, and it was nice and green, or let's take this plant, for example. We got a squash here from the garden. If I were to cut this open and show you the seeds inside and just plant that seed in the ground, it wouldn't do very much. What has to happen is, you know, it gets old and it dries up. That seed has to be almost, someone described like dead. That outer shell is really hard. And it's kind of reminds me of, you know, becoming a Christian. That outer layer of ourselves, of who we once were, has to come off in order for Christ to come in and create something new and grow in us. That old self has to come off, and that's what happens here with this bean. Okay, so bring it on over here. The the seed coat or the protective cover is off, and now we're gonna go ahead and look at some of the features. You take that coat off, and then you open the bean. Okay. And we're gonna look, and we're gonna open the bean. I got two of them. Can you pan over? Can you really see it, Sela girl? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the very first thing that we're gonna look at is called cotyledon. Cotyledon, that's what it said on the internet. Hopefully it's right. Cotyledon, food for the growing baby plant. Where is the cotyledon? Well, the cotyledon is this. This is the cotyledon, I guess. The two parts of the actual bean. That's what it says in the book. Now we're going to look at the micropyle. The micropyle is this part, and you can just keep it down here, see the girl. The micropyle is the part where we opened the seed like this, and well, you can see it better actually on a hard shell. This is the micropyle, okay, right there. And what does the micropyle do? It's a small opening through which a pollen grain enters. Pollen's very important for plants. Bees are important for plants. They move around that pollen. That's where the pollen plant enters. Okay, hilum. The hilum also, well, you know, it's at the top of that. It's at the very top of it. The hilum is this part. And what does the hilum do? It's where the bean was attached to the pod of the wall. So there was a bunch of beans, and I wish I had something that I could cut into to show you, but like with an okra, you know, or, you know, any type of bean, it has something that attaches itself to the actual plant, and that's what the hilum is. Okay, so the next thing is okay, I don't want to pronounce this wrong. Oh man, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Epicotyl. Epicotyl. Well, anyways, it forms the first true leaves, and that comes from here. See, well, epicotyl, it says it's right here. You can kind of see it at the end of this little piece right here. Do you see that little piece? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's at the end of that. Okay, and the hypocotyl forms the lower stems of the root, and the hypocotyl is also right there. So the hypocotyl, the epicotyl, all right here at the end. The epicotyl is, I believe, towards the end. Oh no, the epicotyl is towards the end. The hypocotyl is kind of more in the middle, and it forms the lower stem and the roots. So this is the part that goes down into the ground. It makes those nice firm roots. And then the radical forms the main root. The radical forms the main root, and that's right in here, okay? Forms the main root. It's at the end of this. It's really neat. I mean, there are lots of scripture verses in the Bible about plants and gardens and roots and stuff like that. And if you've ever worked in a garden, you know why. You know, you have to weed every day, keep those weeds out of the garden. This is really neat because we can see that really and truly, like when we have that hard seed, that hard exterior, it has to be made something new. Something has to come over us like the water, and it has to soak into us so we can get that old self off and create something new. And so I think that that would be a really neat thing to explain to the kids. Again, sorry for the mispronunciation on things. Hopefully we both learned a lot, and I think the kids will learn a lot too.